The Wise, the Fool, and the Wicked. That's the title of this teaching, and it's a series of teachings that I'm going to go to the book of Proverbs and look at those three main categories of people. In the book of Proverbs, God describes wisdom and folly. He even uses the figure of speech personification, where he describes wisdom as a woman and folly as a woman. But the subject of Proverbs, which the word proverb really means words to rule life. So unlike where we might think in English a proverb is cute little sayings or like Aesop's fables and things like that, I know in my home there's a little book called Simple Little Things of Life that sit in the bathroom or something, you know, little ditties of life. Well, that's not what Proverbs is. God gives us words to rule life, words that we can use to govern how we should be in life. And the subject of the book of Proverbs is the wise, the fool, and the wicked. Now, the first thing that we have to look at is, how does God define wise? What does it mean to be wise? Well, when we think about this, we go to Proverbs, and God says in the beginning, in Proverbs 1, verse 3, well, really starting in verse 1, he talks about these words are for acquiring discipline, for a prudent life. And in 1:3, he says, for acquiring a disciplined, prudent life, doing what is right, what is just, and fair. In Proverbs 2:6, he expands on that a little bit. He talks about being right, just, and fair, and adds the phrase, every good path. That's what these words are designed to do. They're designed to show us the right way to live, how to be just, how to be fair, and how to discern, how to know what is the right path. The mark of maturity is discernment, especially for the Christian. And Proverbs, the intent of it is to teach us how to discern, how to recognize good and evil. And we might think, well, that's an easy thing. That's a no-brainer. It's the difference between light and darkness. Not necessarily so. Hebrews 5, verse 14 says, but solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. The problem with evil is that many times it's cloaked, it's camouflaged, it's concealed. Evil doesn't always present itself just as evil. Many times evil is presented as good. In fact, in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20, Isaiah speaking says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. See, that's the nature of evil. Many times it blends itself, it camouflages itself so that it presents itself so it has the appearance of good, but it's really not. But as God told us in Hebrews 5:14, the mature have by constant use trained themselves to distinguish, to discern good from evil. That's what this book is going to do. It's going to help us to know how we should rule life, how we should discern, because God defines a wise person as a discerning person. In Proverbs 3:21 it says, my son, preserve sound judgment and discernment. Do not let them out of your sight. And in Proverbs 10:13, wisdom, being wise, is found on the lips of the discerning. To be a discerning person from God's perspective is to be a wise person. Now, what is one of the most distinguishing hallmarks of a person who is wise? I believe it's very easy. It's a person who seeks truth. It's a person who seeks to understand about themselves and about the world around them. A wise person is a person who, when confronted, says, please show me. Their attitude is, what am I doing wrong? Help me. In fact, if I sat there and you came to me and said, Dan, you know, there's something that's troubling me that you've been doing. Well, if I sat there with my arms crossed and said, oh, really? Well, what is it? My body language alone tells you I have no interest in it. But if you came and said, Dan, there's a problem and I need to talk to you about it, and if I said, really? What is it? Please, give it to me. Help me. I want to understand. Now, I realize that none of us like to hear negative information about ourselves, but the wise person is open to truth. Their heart is open, their eyes are wide, their arms are open, and say, please, show me, speak to me, let me see it. I don't see it, so help me to understand it. That's the distinguishing characteristic of the wise. They seek truth. They seek truth about themselves. They seek the truth about others that they're in relationship with. They want to know the world around them. God does not define a wise person by how much they know. And we might do that. We may consider a person wise because they have this great embodiment of knowledge. But when you think about that, if a person, say, is a biology or a chemistry professor, what is it that makes them that professor? They know the truth concerning a certain subject matter. They know a lot of the matter of biology or chemistry. That's why we consider them wise. So they do have a large amount of information, but what they really have is truth concerning a limited subject field. In the same way, we are not wise just because we know a lot. We're wise from God's perspective because we're open to truth. We want to see, to understand, to discern what is right, just, fair, and every good path. In the rest of this teaching, we're going to look at now, if that's what the wise person is like, then what's this category of fool, the distinguishing characteristics, and what is the category of the wicked, and what sets those people out from the wise?